Hi, this is Margo. This is Sunday, late afternoon, October the 4th, 2020. I hope everyone is doing as well as possible. I'm going to start the show out a little bit different today and read something that I wrote in my journal this week. Actually, I wrote it last Sunday, the 27th, but I think it's appropriate with what we're dealing with in life and everything. So I'll just go ahead and read this, and we'll do our weekly updates here. I heard recently someone saying that they thought we had reached the singularity in 2016, and that he believed that AI is running things now and that we're living in a simulation. And this is exactly what I saw in some visions back in 2008 and 2009 about Satan trying to take the earth into a pocket dimension. The only way that could happen would be if AI is running everything and people had bought into the complete simulation. We're very close to that now. We're losing touch with physical reality as we get more and more involved in the virtual world. We can see all the manipulations on CAMS, NOAA, and NASA Worldview when they don't want us to see stuff. In reality, they're showing us what they are allowing us and wanting us to see. It's much worse than we know. How do we know we haven't had the Blue Ocean event yet? All we have are computer models and doctored images from the satellites spliced into each other. But if we look at the effects on the planet, we're seeing evidence of the effects of a Blue Ocean event all over the place. Massive animal die-offs are everywhere. Then the leaving of the trees. It breaks my heart to see all of this, and yet people keep acting like there's something to live for here. The anger, fighting, burning, it's all satanic, while we are dying a little more day by day. So those are my thoughts, and each week gets a little harder, and I keep thinking that the smoke will clear and then I can get out and do things, but it doesn't really clear. When the wind blows out of the east, it just moves it around, and I'm still too sensitive to function, and so that's my plight, my cross to bear. But this is how I feel. I do believe we are living in a simulation, and we do know that they're doctoring all the data and they're renaming things that are not normal and making them look like, making them act like it's supposed to be normal, like the beaming. They're calling a lot of that gravity wave clouds, and I don't know what all. It's insane. And people can't think for themselves, and they have the attention span of a gnat, and they're just, most of them are just reactive and being controlled by the dark mind, which is Satan. And I think the end is very near, and I nearly didn't do a show today. I just didn't feel like it, but I'm here, and so I want to keep up my weekly shows here on YouTube with you guys, and I'm still doing my daily shows for my members on Subscribestar. So if you haven't joined that community yet and you would like to get daily videos and other posts that I put up every day, and you'd have an opportunity to private message me. I interact with my members over there. You can leave comments under the videos. You get an email every time I post something and it's, it's $5 a month, it's pocket change. And I know a lot of people are strapped right now, but a lot of people have the $5, and it's the platform, it's the platform. I'm not making any money, and it's a safe place for us to go and have our community in these end times. So anyway, the link is in the description box below if you're interested in that. And I don't know how much longer we're going to be here, or the internet may be here, or what, but I'm doing this, and I'm a watch person on the wall, and I'm here as an end time watch person on the wall, and trying to lead people home to heaven. So that's my job. So let's get started. We've got methane data from NOAA to look at. Now I'm all tongue-tied. This is from yesterday, Saturday the 3rd, for the 477/469 millibar reading. This is the Met-Op-1 satellite in the morning. The mean or average was 1912 parts per billion. The high reading was 2395. In the afternoon, the mean was 1912. The high reading was 2421. On the Met-Op-2 satellite in the morning, the mean was 1892 and the high reading was 2374. And in the afternoon, the mean was 1892 and the high reading was 2400. So here we are with the weekly data. So here it is for the 3rd, and here's the means that I called off and added up and divided by 4. We come up with an average yesterday of 1902 parts per billion, and so we're down. That's showing a decrease from the week before of 1.5 parts per billion. So we can see the little line up here going down. So it had peaked out on these weekly readings last Saturday, the 26th, at 1903.5. So I don't know if we're at the end of the methane rising. I kind of doubt it, because we've got some really hot or warmer than normal temperatures, not super hot, but 2-meter temperature anomalies, 4C and above, higher than normal up in the Arctic, and it's set up to be like that for the next couple of weeks. So that could really slow down the ice refreeze, and it could encourage the methane to keep on spewing up. It just depends. So I've been tracking this since March the 1st of 2019. The change this year from February 29th to October the 3rd has been an increase of 25.5 parts per billion. The change since the beginning, since March the 1st of 2019, has been an increase of 44.75 parts per billion. Here we can take a peek at what happened during the week. So here we are on last Saturday, the 26th, when it was 1903.5. Then on Sunday it was the same reading, so no change. Monday it went up 0.25. Tuesday it went down 1 part per billion. Wednesday it went up, back up 0.25. Thursday it went down 1 part per billion. Friday it went down 0.5 part per billion, and then Saturday it went up 0.5 part, or 0.5 part per billion. So it was hovering, you know, the lowest it got was this 1901.5, and now it went back up from Friday to Saturday. But it was an overall decrease from Saturday to Saturday of 1.5. But since February the 8th, we've seen an increase of 38.75. Now we are in the typical methane rising time. It usually goes up, starts going up the end of June until about mid-October, and then it goes down for the winter and then starts back up usually what's supposed to be the following summer, but recently we've been seeing it start back up. It started back up as early as January. The highest we reached last year was right here on October the 12th. Back here it is at 1885.75, and then the lowest was on December the 28th, where it was 1861.75, and then there was a sharp increase going up the next week, 4.25. So go figure. And that was January 4th, that first week in January. So you just don't know, and methane can really be releasing a lot in the wintertime. There have been papers put out down through the years, but recently even about high methane releases here, especially in the Barents Sea and the Kara Sea, because of the pycnocline layer is broken down in the wintertime, and you know, the sea ice isn't there to kind of block the methane and this and that. So, and it's been ice-free for most of the summer all around this Russia side. It's been ice-free for months, and so it's had a lot of time to absorb the heat in the water and in the sediments, and it's going to take time for all of that to cool down too. So let's run the CAMS data. They've got Sunday data up, but we're going to look at Saturday the 3rd, Arctic view and surface level. Here's our color ledger in the bottom. So here's where it left off on Friday. We saw earlier this week huge release, just spewing out reds and dark reds and browns out of the Barents Sea and coming across, and then a green wave started pushing that back, it seemed like. But now we've got a wave moving out from Norway across the Atlantic to Greenland. We've got it popping off on Iceland. It's been popping off on Svalbard, and it's very high here in the Scandinavian areas and across Russia here. And remember, the last few times that the Arctic, this whole Arctic region had been covered in green, dark green, as the lowest reading, which is 1920.5 parts per billion. But we're seeing a little bit of blue-green come in, so that's the next color down is 1900. So that's showing a decrease in the methane reading that would correlate with what we saw on NOAA this week. But you're going to see in the forecast period that this green comes back. So let's just run the movie and then I'll discuss it as it goes. So we're still seeing it stream out into the Barents Sea and back and down across the North Atlantic. It's not as high as it has been, but it's still a lot of methane coming up. Notice it's coming up here in Siberia and up through the Laptev Sea. You'll see an orange area pop up in the forecast period here. See right there? Now it's like yellow. Let's see what else. This Alaska coastline is coming back to life. Here it's coming back up in the middle part of Alaska. We're still seeing high readings in Canada, south of the Hudson Bay, here in North Dakota, here on the east coast of North America, California. I'm going to show North America as a separate view in a moment here, so you'll get to see that. So we are seeing a decrease there, but we're still seeing a lot of methane still come up. And remember, the sun is going down. Right now, the black circle is covering the top part of Greenland, where the sun's going down. It's spreading out. And it's trying to refreeze. It's struggling. It's having a hard time. We had a 5.3 earthquake on land here at Greenland yesterday. This is, I imagine this is from the melting glaciers and the change of the weight. You know, Greenland is just, when it melts a lot, then it's not as heavy, the water. It melts and then runs off. And so as the ice melts, it's not as heavy, and so Greenland is springing up and it's changing the weight on the tectonic plates and then causing earthquakes. And we've had quite a few. We've had some recently up here between Greenland and Svalbard here in the Fram Strait, and then we've had them all the way down through the Atlantic too. There's a plate line that runs, comes up through Russia and then up here and through Iceland and then right down through the Atlantic, and it separates the North America plate from the Eurasia plate. So here we're looking at the North Pole view. So here's the Persian Gulf, it's filling up. Here's India. We're seeing it spill over into the Bengal Bay here. This is a sign that we've got really high methane readings. It's also spilling out from the China coastline. See the greens, here's some reds and oranges. We're also seeing the white spot pop up here. If you look at my pointer, this is where it's higher than what's registered is higher than 10,000 parts per billion. That's about in the Beijing area. Now let's take a peek at the North America view here. So Texas has huge amounts of methane. See, and over here in West Texas, and they've been having a lot of earthquakes here in West Texas, and this is all oil country here. And look down along the coast, it's just filling up. It's probably from the hurricanes and the rains and the floodings and things. And then from the middle of the United States east, you've got the green background colors and higher. So we've got very high readings here in North America. Here in Southern California, we've got fires here still in the Creek Fire burning up here. This is north of Searles Valley and Ridgecrest. And then up here in Northern California, we still have fires. There are still fires up here in Oregon and Washington. Now, there was enough rain to put out some of them, but it didn't last long. We have fires burning in Canada, also in Idaho, Utah. Colorado has some terrible fires burning. Southern Wyoming, Arizona, Texas, I mean, they're all over the place. So it's not looking good. Now we'll look at the global view. And this light blue is the main background color in the southern hemisphere. That is 1820 parts per billion. Then this darker blue, this navy blue, is 1840. And so this is, when we see this as the main background color, this means that methane is high worldwide, and it's dispersed throughout the world. And I remember when they changed the color ledger, this color ledger, back in December of 2018, and down here in the southern hemisphere, it was this dark blue or even the purple, and you couldn't even see the outlines of the continents or the countries inside the continents. You couldn't even see them because the background color was so dark, and you couldn't see the Antarctic. The only way you could see the Antarctic was where the methane was coming up around the edges. You couldn't see Australia except for where the methane was coming up. But now you can see those lines. So that's a sign to me that, it's really risen worldwide. So there's that. Now let's look at 500 HPA. This is about halfway up in the atmosphere and correlates with about the level of the NOAA reading. We can see that the highest reading is over from India east over China, over to Japan, and then in northern China, southern Russia, and up here over the Arctic as well. Here's total column. This is where it's all added up through the layers, and we're see this light green. It's going down even over the Antarctic. This used to be all dark blue down here, so so it's getting higher all around the planet. So the highest readings are here over China and India. Now if we go back to the North America view, here we've got red here in Southern California. That's where the hot spot, one of the hot spots is. But it's not looking good. See, we've got that reddish orange. That's like, that's this color. That's 2080 parts per billion. So the next color up is bright red. So anyway, I wanted to show you also ozone. The ozone hole over the Antarctic has been unbelievable. Now, when was it? Friday. And a couple of people have finally reported on this. I've been showing the ozone. I've been including that in my daily reports, but this is the ozone hole over the Antarctic. And so here's South America with Argentina coming down and Chile coming down here. Here's north, south, east, and west. So here's the tippy point of the Western Peninsula. Now when you see the Antarctic, sometimes they'll flip it. You know, it depends on the orientation. So the tail is on the right side. It took me forever to orient myself, but the big way to know is this Western Peninsula, and then on the southern end is the Ross Sea. So this white area, that is lower than their reading goes. See the black? I was flipping out when it turned to black this week inside here. It turned to black earlier this week, and then it turned into white here on Friday. So it went below 100 Dobson units, and it's only gotten below 100 Dobson units like once or twice since they've been measuring ozone. So it hasn't healed. The ozone hole has not healed. It's still there. It's quite huge, and this bright yellow, that's 300 Dobson units. That's this color right here, and that's considered normal or healthy. And then as it goes up into the oranges and reds, it gets thicker, and so as it goes to the left or down into the greens, it's getting thinner. And then you see this blue, this purple blue, that's 200 to 220 Dobson units. Notice a black line around that. That's when it's in the danger zone. So anything below the aqua, below this color, anything left of the aqua is in the danger zone. So we've had all of the Antarctic has been in the danger zone for over a week or two now. It's awful. And the sun is up, and I'm going to show it today. The sun is up down there, and it should be filling back in. But so that was flipping me out. But here it is. So let's see what it. So here it is today. Well, the white is gone, and it morphs. It moves around. It moves. We can run this. I didn't load it up. It'll take a second for it to load. But it morphs like a big cloud. But it's still black in the middle, see? So here it goes. It'll smooth out in a second here. I had to take a short break. Had a coughing fit, so I apologize. So here now it's going to smooth out. But look at this strange. Look at the shape, how it morphs around. But the whole continent is in this danger zone, and the ice is melting there. It is definitely melting. So there's ozone. Anyway, so let's move on. Let's look at some sea ice now. We're going to start out with a slideshow from Climate Reanalyzer. Here's sea ice and snow cover for today for the Arctic. We're seeing a little hole here still in the Beaufort Sea, and the coastlines are still open around Alaska and Canada. Now the tail has come up, and we've had some problems with it this week. It looks like it's kind of disintegrating here, but this main part has come back out and connected with the tail. That's been the big thing this week, and this ear is coming out, and it's getting a little bit more extent, very thin, very, very light, but we're still having some problems around the North Pole. So we'll just go back. Here we are last Sunday on the 27th. Here's what it looked like. Not a lot different than today. Just looking at it right now. But here we go. Here's the 28th, and we're actually seeing it come in here, and the hole get bigger here on the 29th. Here's the 30th, 31st. I mean, not the 31st, the 1st, the 2nd, the 3rd, and here it is on today. So mainly it's thickening too, and the thickest sea ice is right along here. We're going to look at that next. Here's the Navy sea ice thickness for today. And if we zoom in, So we can see it's still totally ice-free around the coastlines. All these coastlines. It started to come back a little bit, just a little thin piece of ice, little skim of ice in these tributaries in this Canadian archipelago. Here's the thickest ice. It's being squished down, and right now it's anchoring on these two little islands here. We're seeing a little hint of orange and yellow and green come back right here. So that's a little bit thicker as it's starting to refreeze. And we're seeing a little thin line of aqua along the Greenland coast, and little a hint of aqua here at Ellesmere. And you can see the hole here in the Beaufort, and that what has come back is just very slight. It's very pale. See the pale? It means it's not very concentrated. So here's the 30-day animation. The forecast goes out to a week from now, to the 11th, and the data starts on September the 12th. So let's zoom in. I want to really get a good view here so that we can see. We're not really seeing a lot of refreeze or thickening here on this main part yet. It's still moving and stretching and trying to settle in. We're in the forecast period, we're seeing this edge grow back out. But we're also seeing that this left part, the left end of this thickest piece of sea ice that's left, this is all that's left of the multi-year ice. Watch it lift out away from the coastline. This is kind of alarming me. So here we are on the last day of the model. Here's the date up there, October 11th. And we can see it's lifted out away from the coastline, and this other little piece that had broken off, it's disintegrating. It's not doing well, and this tail is kind of, I don't know what's going to happen there. We are seeing it thicken up a little bit here and moving down into the tributaries. We're seeing a darker blue now. See the dark blue, and then we don't see much change here on the north end of Greenland or at Ellesmere. And so let's click back. Let's go back. So here we are today, and I want you to focus on this area and see how it's shifting. Now here's the piece that had broken off. Now watch that too. It's kind of moving and breaking up too. So here we go. Here's today. Here's Monday. That was a big movement. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So it's just barely anchored, like right there. So I don't know what's going to happen here. We could have a large storm come in and wipe this out in a heartbeat. And it's still shifting down. That's the way the waves move. The gyre, it shifts, it circulates like this down here. So can this stay anchored long enough for it to refreeze so that it doesn't get shifted down? I don't know. So we'll have to see what happens. And there's not hardly any refreeze up here. Almost none. So there's that. So we're going to leave the sea ice. Now let's move on. Well, we'll leave that part of the report. Here's National Snow and Ice Data Center for the Sea Ice Index for today. Yesterday. They're a day behind. And I've got the blue marble view pulled up and daily chosen and concentration chosen. Now if you just want to see extent, there's that, but it's a little deceptive because you can't really see. See, here's the concentration, and when you get down to the dark blue, it's like the very light purple on the Navy website, where it's just not very well formed at all. And see, we've got a lot of blue up here around the North Pole and up. Here's the sea ice extent, the chart for today. Now this is not up to date because October is here, and so this is like a week or I don't know, maybe 2 weeks behind. But the 2012 line is this dotted line, and then we're this blue line. So we're, according to them, we're just above the 2012 line. So we're second lowest on extent since they've been measuring. Now in the Antarctic, here's what it looks like. And they liked the way the extent went out this year. It actually went it started melting. It went out past the median line on some of it. Now the difference between the Arctic and the Antarctic ice, there are quite a few differences, but the big one is that on the Arctic, the ice is in the middle and land is around it, so it's an ocean or a sea. Here we have a landmass in the middle, which is Antarctica, and then the ice gathers around it, and in their winter time the ice freezes around it, and in their summertime it melts. It almost all melts, and this ice is frozen out of salt water, so it has to freeze at a much lower temperature than fresh water. And in the Arctic, a lot of it is fresh water, but it's been, the whole terrain of the Arctic Ocean has been changing, and we've talked about that. There are lots of reports and papers about that, about the salt water coming in from mainly the North Atlantic, and also the Pacific, and mixing in and changing the ecosystem. so it's a lot more salty. Now, before we go to NASA Worldview, I want to share an article. This is from phys.org. This came out October the 3rd. Antarctic Peninsula at warmest in decades study. Now they're talking about the Western Peninsula. The year 2020 is the hottest in the Antarctic Peninsula in the past 3 decades, a study by the University of Santiago de Chile out Friday found. There's the people on it. Between January and August, temperatures reached between 2 and 3 degrees Celsius, or 35.6 to 37.4 degrees Fahrenheit on the peninsula. So that's above freezing, obviously, which is the northernmost part of the mainland Antarctica. According to researchers at the Chilean Air Force's Frey base on King George Island, those temperatures are more than 2 degrees Celsius over typical values. The far northern tip of the Antarctic Peninsula, the average maximum temperature so far this year has been above 0 degrees. This had not happened for 31 years. Cordero, who's reporting on this, called that fact alarming since it could indicate that the rapid rate of ocean warming observed in the area at the end of the 20th century is resuming. The high southern hemisphere winter temperatures are in contrast, however, with those registered between August and September, which reached minus 16.8 degrees Celsius, the lowest since 1970. So you're seeing swings in the temperature. The Antarctic Peninsula is the northernmost part of the Antarctic where there are scientific and military bases from several countries, including Argentina, Chile, and Britain. So that's short and sweet, short and to the point. So let's look at Climate Reanalyzer next. We've got maximum temperatures here. Maximum temperatures here for today, and we're seeing this colder air move up from Greenland up over the Arctic. But see these greens? That's higher than normal, and you're going to be shocked when you see 2 meter temperature anomaly. Look at this. It's reddish. It's in the red zone. So we're getting into the red zone. Now this bright red is 20 C higher than normal. The dark brown is 10 C higher than normal. So it's, 15 to 20 C higher than normal. Up here, Greenland is also turning red. We've all got this high temperature moving down all the way from Alaska through Canada, through North America, through the US, into Mexico, and we're just set up, and then you see the colder than normal right next to it. This is indicative of abrupt climate change and the jet stream being all wonky. So today the Arctic is up 4.2 C higher than normal, and the northern hemisphere is up 1.2 C higher than normal. The world is up 0.5 C, tropics are up 0.4 C, Southern Hemisphere is down 0.2 C, and the Antarctic is up 0.4 C. And in the Antarctic, we're seeing some reds today too. And this is the ozone hole is causing a lot of this. Here's precipitation and clouds. We've got some rain here in the Beaufort Sea, which is not boding well for the refreeze. Then we've got snow over this quadrant 4, which is good. We've got snow up here in Siberia as well. And then we've got rain here, rain and snow on the east coast of Greenland. Here's 10-meter wind speed, so we can see they're picking up as they come across. Here's sea level pressure. We've got some lows. These are not intense lows. This is 995, but this ice is so fragile that any kind of wind or low or anything can just wreak havoc on it. Here's the jet stream. Look at this. And so the sea ice is right. It's inside here from northern Greenland up around here. We saw sea ice and snow cover. Here is sea surface temperature anomaly. This is updated to yesterday. We can still see a lot of browns and reds up here around the sea ice and in the open water. Not seeing that much pink, just a little bit right here in the Kara Sea. That pink is about 6C higher than normal. The reds are 5C. The browns are between 2 and 4C. So here's the flat view. This is not looking good for the whole planet. Look at the Pacific. That's awful. Now they don't have the Arctic listed separately. I think they should, but they've just included it in the Northern Hemisphere. Worldwide, we're up 0.4C higher than normal. The Northern Hemisphere is up 0.8C. The North Atlantic is up 0.7C, and the North Pacific is up 0.9C. Southern Hemisphere is up 0.1C. Equatorial Pacific is down 0.1C. So most of the hot oceans are in the North Pacific and Atlantic and in the Arctic. And then we also have, see here, in the Mediterranean and the Black Sea and so forth. Over here. It's not good. Look here, off this west coast. See, that's really hot. And the fires and smoke are not helping matters any. It's just, and the smoke is eating up the ozone layer. Okay, now we're going to look at sea ice concentration. I've turned on the blue marble layer to take away the clouds. So here we are in the Arctic today, and what we're looking for is white. When it turns white, it means the concentration is good. It means that the ice is solid in between the pieces, and it's not all slushy, and it's refrozen. So we've got here today we're starting to see a little bit of white come back. Now this is over some of that thickest sea ice, and remember the tail of that is coming down this way, and then it comes up. So now some of that is still kind of morphing, and remember we saw the model that it was going to be slipping out away from this coastline, so we've got to keep an eye on that. Here is where it's in the process of refreezing between the year and this little leg that's come out, but the tail is having a hard time. See, it's not looking that good. And then here's the North Pole, and it's any of the colors is showing that it's not that concentrated, especially when you get down into the green here. So remember the Mosaic, the polar stern ship from the Mosaic expedition sailed up here. I mean, it just zipped right out to the North Pole, and so it wasn't very concentrated. We saw pictures, and there was a lot of open water between the sea ice, and so that open water has to refreeze, and so until that refreezes we won't see white here. We just won't. Here's, little areas that are white, see, like right here. But we have a lot of areas that are not very frozen back yet. But we're at the beginning of the refreeze. And if we go around the coastline here, if you look at the Siberia coastline, we've got a few dots of ice coming back here in the Laptev Sea, right there, and then nothing around Severnae Zemlya. That has totally melted. We've got a couple of green dots in the Gulf of Ob, and that's it. That is it so far. But the sun is still up for a lot of this area though. So once the sun goes down, it'll start going back to the refreeze. So let's go back to here we were last Sunday, and we can just click through and see what kind of changes have happened this week. Here's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So we're seeing quite a bit of movement still here in the Beaufort Sea. It's mobile there, and it's not very thick. It's just pieces, and we saw it kind of melting out in the middle of the week, and then this is trying to come back now. But considering we're going to have the over 4C higher than normal over the Arctic for about the next 10 days, or around 4C higher than normal, that's not good. That is not not going to bode well for a refreeze anytime soon. So now I turned off that layer, and here are the clouds and the satellite view, and here's the black circle where we can't see anything. That's where the sun has gone down for that part of the Arctic, and it'll be dark until the springtime. and this is getting bigger day by day, and soon it'll fill up this whole thing, and we won't be able to see anything up here. So here we are. Here's Greenland. So you can see now the sun is really low, and so it's at an angle, so we've got some strange colors coming in. But there's the sea ice, you can see it there. See, so here's where this hole had opened up. So where it had been ice free is just a little thin skim, and then it'll refreeze in between the pieces. And then next year, if we're still here to see it, it'll melt even faster. So here's Ellesmere Island. Part of that is already in the dark, and here's the coastline. Here's the ice. You can see that. So these are the leads, these are the lines, the cracks in between the ice. Those are called leads. And so that will refreeze, and then next summer those will be the first things to melt. And then it's on its way for the melting. This area is some of the thicker ice. It's hard to see. What is this line? Oh, it's a crack coming out, see? So, okay, so this is a pretty good view today. I thought it was going to be cloud covered. So this is a rear view of the thicker sea ice. Let's see, right, it's coming right through here. We can see it. We can see how it's made up. It's not one big piece. It's the pieces that have been pushed together and frozen. And this is the last of the multi-year ice right here. Right here. And see, it was well on its way to totally melting. See the big pieces, and it's already broken apart. See, it had broken apart. It was just being barely held together. But the difference this year is it broke away from the coastline, and so it's not anchored. It's like free floating. So here it's trying to anchor in. So here's a cloud, and then here's the tail. See? And then the little wispy stuff, that's the little skim of very light purple. They're calling that extent. So that's what we've got. And it's very cloudy, lots of smoke. Here's Severina Zemlya. This is the big cloud, but you can see the Vogelov ice cap. It's still flowing out into the ocean there. See that white? That's ice flowing out from the ice cap. These are all clouds. This is not ice. This is clouds. Here's Franz Josef Land. Here's Svalbard. Here's Longyearbyen. That's where the seed bank is. There's the seed vault. Looks like it's been snowing there, so that's getting covered back up. And so this will be going in dark soon, probably this week. Here's Norway. And that's it. Here's Novaya Zemlya. See, it's all cloudy. Okay, and people have been asking for me to look at the Antarctic to show that now that the sun is up. So here we are. Here we are for today in the Antarctic. Here's north, south, east, and west. Here's this western peninsula. Right down here is the Ross Sea and the Ross Ice Shelf. Pine Island Glacier is right in this little cubby hole. The Thwaites Glacier is right next to that. It's called the Doomsday Glacier. And these are melting profusely. This is the Weddell Sea here and the Weddell Ice Shelf. This is the Brunt Ice Shelf here. It's still intact. Now you can see that the ice is already breaking away from the coastline on a lot of the land here, and it's not very thick here along the coastline. So it's a whole different scenario down here. Now see this piece, this is iceberg A68. This broke off from the Larsen Sea ice shelf a couple of years ago, and it broke off in their winter time. It took a year for it to rotate out. It kind of hung around in one position, and then last year it rotated out and made its way out to sea, and it's still here. It didn't quite get caught up in the sea ice, but I was surprised that it didn't go out to sea yet. It's still right here. This part of it used to be more of an oval shape, so it's been breaking off and disintegrating, but this was the north end and that was the south end, and this side was connected to the Larsen Sea ice shelf, and that side is what broke off. And I've done videos on that. Now this is so cloudy we can't really see. Now it broke off right here. You can see where it comes in. This is this is in clouds, but this is where it broke off. So there's it's frozen back there, but it's never been the same since. And the Larsen B disintegrated, and Larsen A is disintegrated, and it's just, they're just going away. What can I say? So here's the Weddell ice shelf, and we can see the sea ice here. We're looking through a layer of clouds, so we can see here that the ice is really thin with the thicker ice, thicker pieces. Now this will melt. Most of this will melt. Like I said, here's the Brunt ice shelf. There are some huge cracks here. One is called the Halloween crack, and there was a here's this other crack, you can see it, and here's one here. But last summer they had to airlift the expedition team, the research team that had set up here studying this ice shelf, because they were afraid that it was going to break off and they wouldn't be able to get out. They left everything. They left all of their equipment and everything. But it's still there. And what else? Let's go down this way. Let's see if we can take a peek at the Pine Island Glacier. Here it is. We're looking through clouds, but here's where it's outlined, and it used to come out way down to here, but it's been calving off down through the years, and it's already cracked way up high. Let's see if we can see. See, you have to get a day when there are no clouds. Let's see, check this day. This is pretty good. So you can see it's refrozen here, but it's broken off last summer. This is the line where it broke off up to last summer. So this is refreeze here. So that's very shallow, and so it'll melt out quickly. So this is the glacier here. So the problem is, as it breaks off, then it allows the glacier to flow more freely. And this is a pretty good view. Then the Thwaites Glacier is right next to it. Some people call it the Thwaites. Thwaites, Thwaites. But it's a large area right through here that fills up this whole area, and actually down to here, and we can see. I don't know if this is melting here. Maybe someone could help me out on that, and the same here. But if it is, then that's not good. But I read an article that it's melting up underneath, and the water's getting up underneath, so that's not good. So here's where it's refrozen too. So this little ear is kind of where it ends. This ear here. I go by shapes and things that stick out that I can remember as landmarks. Now we can see that where it's refrozen, it's quite thin here. Let's see. So let's come back to today. And it's too cloudy to see all that today. See, it's just, that's all clouds. Here's an open area. Look at this. See, it's already melted here. And see, pieces are coming off. It's just, you know, part of the ice that had refrozen is melting. So that's a hot spot. And there are volcanoes all the way underneath Antarctica. All the way underneath there. They found like over 100 volcanoes. And there's one right under Pine Island Glacier. They think that's why that one's melting so fast. there's a whole underneath environment here. It's amazing. Caverns and rivers and lakes, and I mean, I think you could live down there practically. Just be getting in and out. So here's the Ross Sea, and here's the ice, and here's the edge, and we can see it's already melted away. The Ross Sea is already melting, and here's the Ross Ice Shelf, and McMurdo Bay is, or McMurdo Station is right over here somewhere on these rocks. Now right here, this is Ross Island, this thing that it's got volcanoes here. This is Mount Erebus, and Mount Erebus is an active volcano. It mainly just puffs up air, and you can see it from the sky, glowing red down in there, and it's been active for the last 1,000,000 years. And you can actually see sulfur dioxide in this region on CAMS. So we can see a little bit of ice around this. This is Ross Island, like I said. And we see the ice that comes all the way out here. Now, some areas it's not very far to the coast. On this east side it didn't come out very far. Now right down here, where is it? Right down here is another glacier that's been melting. It's called Toten. This is the Toten Glacier. I've been watching that. It's covered with clouds right now. So we can see high melt, lots of open water. See, this is going to go fast. Here's this east side. Now right here is the Amory ice shelf or ice sheet, and there's some glaciers that empty out here through here. Last year there was a piece of the ice sheet that broke off. See this area here that's empty? That was called D28, and it broke off and it got caught up in the sea ice, and it's over here somewhere. I haven't seen it yet, but we can see that this is already melted out, or it's just quite thin there. I think we're looking through a cloud. So and when this really gets going, you'll be able to see melt ponds on this ice sheet, and you can see it just flowing out. And these are mountains. This is mountainous terrain around here. And it's like a desert down here. That's what they say. I wouldn't know. I've never been there. And it doesn't snow that much. It's but they get a lot of clouds. Here's an open area. Now methane is coming up around these coastlines. Look how open that is. So here's the northern side, and then we're coming back to where we started from. So that's our tour of the Antarctic today. So you can see the ice, let's see, here on the Western Peninsula, it's out past. And we've been having earthquakes just right out here by Shetland Island. A lot of earthquakes right down here, and large ones, high 4s and 5s. And a tectonic plate line runs right through here. And so let's turn on the sea ice concentration here. This is what it looks like today. So there you go. So we'll take a peek at earthquakes and then wrap this up. Here we are right now on USGS. Right now it's showing 299 earthquakes worldwide. We're seeing a lot of activity up here in this northern part of South America. This has all come in today. Oops. Here, 4.7 in Peru, 4.5 Colombia, and 4.8 near Trinidad. We've got a couple near the Cocos Plate. This one is new today. 4.5 near San Carlos, Mexico. This is in the Gulf of California. See, right next to the red line. This is the Imperial Fault Line. And here in Southern California, down here, just south of the Salton Sea, this has been swarming for the last few days. This is down only 45 here right now, but at one point there were like 800. But if we turn on all magnitudes for the last 7 days, it's 1,151 earthquakes here in the last 7 days. Over 1,000 earthquakes. Over 1,100 earthquakes right here, and some of them were pretty big. Something's going on. Something huge is going on. And the yellow ones are the older ones. The orange ones are in the last 24 hours. And the red ones are what's come in the last couple of hours. So let's go 7 days, 4.5 magnitude. So the largest ones were 4.9 and 4.5, and these came in on September the 30th, so 4 days ago. So I'm going to leave on all magnitudes for the last 7 days. So here's what we've had for the last 7 days. 3,122 earthquakes worldwide. Look at this. See, here's what I was talking about down here on the Western Peninsula of Antarctica, right here. See, there's the red line. 5.0 right there. Here's a 5.1. Now here is this 5.3 on eastern Greenland. It was on land, right next to the ice sheet. Let's see. So that's from melting of the ice sheet. I'm positive of it. we had 4.7 and a 4 point and a 5 point, wait, Eastern Greenland, okay, 4.7 here in the Fram Strait, and lots of 5s. We had some 6s this week down here in the South Pacific, and see, this Cocos Plate was active, and all this west coast of South America. Look at this ring of fire, and throughout the Mediterranean, everywhere. It was everywhere. Even Australia, look at Australia had one 4.5 near Wickham, Australia. New Zealand had 5.0 south of the Kermadec Islands, and a 4.3 south of the South Island. Look at all these at Fiji and so on. Unbelievable. Then that going on in Southern California, that was flipping me out. So let's go ahead and finish up. As a watch person, I am right now reading through the old prophetic books of the Old Testament, of the old prophets, and they were prophesying for the end days, which I believe we're living in now. So I think we can glean a lot of insight into their prophecies. And prophets nobody liked them. They didn't like them because they brought bad news to the people, telling them to repent of their sinful ways or God would destroy them, which He did. He would turn them over to their enemy, or to the storms or fires or whatever. But when they would follow God, then there would be peace. And so I think that people need to be repenting. How many people have actually been repenting this year, ever since the situation started this year? How many people? I don't see anyone repenting. I guess there have been a few, but the majority of them are not. They're just caught up in their virtual reality, and I'm ready to leave. I'm ready to exit. I'm ready to go. I'm just ready anytime. But God says, a little longer for you, Margo. You've got to bring some more people home. So we're reading Habakkuk chapter 2 today. I will stand upon my watch and set me upon the tower, and will watch to see what He will say unto me, and what I shall answer when I am reproved. And the Lord answered me and said, Write the vision, and make it plain upon tables, that he may run that readeth it. For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come, it will not tarry. Behold, his soul which is lifted up is not upright in him, but the just shall live by his faith. Yea, also, because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home, who enlargeth his desire is hell, and is as death, and cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. Shall not all these take up a parable against him, and a taunting proverb against him, and say, Woe to him that increaseth that which is not his! How long? And to him that ladeth himself with thick clay. Shall they not rise up suddenly that shall bite thee, and awake that shall vex thee, and thou shalt be for booties unto them? Because thou hast spoiled many nations, all the remnant of the people shall spoil thee, because of men's blood, and for the violence of the land, of the city, and of all that dwell therein. Woe to him that coveteth an evil covetousness to his house, that he may set his nest on high, that he may be delivered from the power of evil. Thou hast consulted shame to thy house by cutting off many people, and hast sinned against thy soul. For the stone shall cry out of the wall, and the beam out of the timber shall answer it. Woe to him that buildeth a town with blood, and stablisheth a city by iniquity. Behold, is it not of the Lord of hosts that the people shall labor in the very fire, and the people shall weary themselves for very vanity? For the earth shall be filled with the knowledge of the glory of the Lord, as the waters cover the sea. Woe unto him that giveth his neighbor drink, that puttest thy bottle to him, and makest him drunken also, that thou mayest look on their nakedness. Thou art filled with shame for glory. Drink thou also, and let thy foreskin be uncovered. The cup of the Lord's right hand shall be turned unto thee, and shameful spewing shall be on thy glory. For the violence of Lebanon shall cover thee, and the spoil of beasts, which made them afraid, because of men's blood, and for the violence of the land, of the city, and all that dwell therein. What profiteth the graven image that the maker thereof hath given it, the molten image, and a teacher of lies, that the maker of his work trusteth therein to make dumb idols? Woe unto him that saith to the wood, Awake! To the dun stone, Arise, it shall teach. Behold, it is laid over with gold and silver, and there is no breath at all in the midst of it. But the Lord is in his holy temple. Let all the earth keep silence before him. Habakkuk chapter 2. So I'm praying for everybody. I love you all. I think time is very short, and if you haven't gotten right with God and Jesus, I don't know how to say it any plainer. Now is the time. So until next time, God bless you. Go in peace, and I will talk to you soon. Good night.